Thanks for joining us on Coast to Coast Pest Talk.
Let's give Dan a try again. Dan.
All right.
Hi.
I can hear you guys this time.
Yay. There you go.
I had to do a little shuffling around. I was inside the house and the kids came home. Dogs started going crazy, so now I'm in the truck.
So, okay, we got to get a review because we're almost a year out from the last time we talked to you.
Yep.
So what's going on? I know you did a radio ad and you've been doing a bunch of things. And how did everything play this season?
Well, the radio ad was a complete bust. Spent like $12,000+ ish on that, and the only customer I got from it was the producer who helped me make the radio ads, which I thought was comical. So huge learning curve there. I remember last time we talked about it, you're like, yeah, you're gonna have all these calls coming in, and it's just you yourself and you yourself and I basically, and you're gonna be hurting, and was not the case.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
But a huge learning curve there, and was not expecting that because I made some really cute, like personalized ads with the kids and everything in the studio, and I thought it was gonna be really good. I was listening to my ads all the time, and my current customers were telling me they were hearing my ads, but no new customers heard them, unfortunately.
Oh no!
So,
wow. So why do you think that didn't connect with people?
You know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I specifically gave it 6 months because that's what a networking connection had recommended to me, and I definitely talk with a lot of marketers doing everything myself, so I'm always trying to pick their brains. And everyone said, give it 3 to 6 months, and I gave it 7 months, and nothing.
Wow.
So I don't know. I talked with other radio people, different personalities. They're like, oh, well, it was just the radio station that you're on. Come over to my radio station. I'm like, you know what? I've already been burned once. I don't want to try it.
Oh my God.
So I feel like I definitely get more than enough ROI on just doing social media, which is free for me. So
yeah, because you get real good traction that way, right?
Oh yeah. I get so many people just from my LinkedIn. I honestly cannot tell you the last time I went to a networking event where somebody new recognized me that I've never met before. But I just add people left and right every single day or every week. I max out my added connection on LinkedIn. So I'm constantly running into new people that I've never met before, but they know me, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. There you go. So I don't know, obviously, I don't know marketing. I would be in marketing if I knew marketing. But is something like radio, is that like icing on the cake and not the whole cake? Is that like the last layer of like, geez, you have everything else tied up and put together. Let's put some, little extra on there.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to marketing, it's just all branding. I guess if you imagine like your business is the cake, every bit of different marketing you can do is a different decoration or a different sprinkle on the cake, basically.
There you go.
That's kind of how I'm looking at it, but a very expensive sprinkle.
Yeah. How's your mix between the different platforms? Like, is LinkedIn the best? Is Facebook the best? TikTok, whatever?
Yeah. For me, I find LinkedIn to be the best. It's also where all the decision makers are at. It's where all the people that anybody in sales is trying to already get in touch with. And it just makes my job easier. And I learned that from my previous role. I basically everything that you guys see me post on LinkedIn, I cross post on all the other platforms, but I don't really get anything from it. But LinkedIn, definitely 100%.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
how's it been for you, Gabe? Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I get a steady flow of leads from LinkedIn and nothing really, just random ones anywhere else.
Wow. That's awesome. Okay, so you didn't need to hire a guy then last year, huh?
Yeah, I could still use to hire somebody. I am a little stressed coming up on our busy season. Because I'm just shy of 200 customers, and last spring and last summer I was working hard, and I was like, man, I'm going to be in trouble. And then this winter I was expecting, going into the slow season, I'm going to have some time off. I'm going to have some time to focus and, organize a little bit, and that didn't happen, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But I'm still signing up people for mosquitoes and ticks and all this other stuff for the upcoming season. I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to be hurting soon.
Yeah. So when you say 200 customers, what kind of customers? Like, what's your mix of services?
Yeah. So when I say 200 customers, that is recurring customers.
Okay.
So whether it be commercial, residential, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is. Okay. But that's like what I'm considering anybody that's recurring, essentially.
How many do you think you can handle as just yourself?
Realistically, if it's just doing the routine, checkups essentially, I think I could do 250 by myself.
Okay.
I kind of already did the math on it. What'd you say, Gabe?
You're pretty close then.
Yeah, I'm pretty close. And even just today, I got an email for a small strip mall down by me, and they wanted me to do all 12 shops. I'm like, all right, well, that's a great email, but dang.
Holy cow!
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I definitely got my feelers out there. I got some money saved up, looking to get a second truck, but I'm still having troubles with this truck. So, just juggling everything I can.
Oh my gosh. So now that's the big question then. How do you jump that hurdle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
1 guy to 2 guy is the biggest jump. That's
Yep.
that's hard. Gabe, you just hurdled right over that, didn't you? How did you do that? It was like your first
I lost a lot
your
of
first
money.
year. Yeah, you just spent a lot of money.
Yeah, I just from the get-go, like, I knew I was like, I need to scale fast. I need to be out of the field as quickly as possible. So yeah, I had somebody after 4 months.
Wow.
But I didn't necessarily have the volume to justify that. It was a very like preemptive. It's like, you take over what we got running, and I'm gonna keep filling the pipeline, kind of thing. But I feel like if you're that close to your capacity, Dan, that you should have close to the profitability to be able to, especially as you're coming into your busy season, get most of another route filled up pretty well. I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And just me, coming from a pest control sales background, I know that once I have somebody, working the route, I can easily get more and more customers on a daily, weekly basis. So I'm not necessarily worried about that part. I'm worried about finding the right person that I can trust.
Yeah. But yeah, and if you run the risk of you saw all that work and you make a bad choice, or somebody decides to go somewhere else, or the guy gets hurt or something, and now you're stuck with 350 customers and one of you, that's a rough spot to be in. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the hard thing is, I think you're totally right to try to find a good person, and that those first few hires I think are key. But the difficulty is you're going to have to face that one way or another, and getting on the front side of it before because pretty soon you're going to have 300 customers with just you, Dan, if you're not careful. They're coming whether you want them or not, and so that's going to be hard to turn away the business.
Yeah, and that's the last thing I want to do as a new business owner. I don't want to lose momentum, start turning away people because I'm overbooked. It's kind of, nightmare situation for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So the goal for you is to grow and have employees, right? That's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have so much experience in managing businesses and, hiring, retention, training, development, all that fun stuff. I know I can do it. I guess I've just been mentally burned because I spent so long doing inspections behind other companies, behind other technicians with a lot more experience than myself, and see just sheer laziness. So in my head, I'm like, I hope I find the right person.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we took a long time. We did like a real slow ramp up. It was probably, we didn't have a full-time technician besides myself and Holly answering the phone. Probably our 3rd year. Like we went ultra slow. So our first year was just me all by myself, and that was during the big initial collapse of the economy after 2008 there. So it was worst economy since the Depression. We're like, yeah, start a company. So we actually it was our 2nd and 3rd year. We had a part-time person that was like a neighbor across the street. He was a semi-retired home builder, great guy, older guy, and he'd wanted to, get out and move around and stuff. So we actually did 2 seasons where we got a second truck, and he would just handle residential work and routine stuff throughout the season. So we would fit, at that time we were probably 90% residential. So we would fit that hard amount of work through that season with a part-time guy for 2 seasons, and that let us carry that revenue into then a full-time person. So it mitigated the risks as far as like outlaying the money before we had the work. I wanted to have the work before we had, hired the people. And that was the only way we could really fit that through.
Nice. Yeah, for me, so I have one client that I do a couple of his restaurants here in New Jersey, but him and his partners have 20 plus locations up in Staten Island, which is for me only an hour drive. But I just had told him like I can't do it right now. I can't, drop of a dime, leave what I'm doing down here in Southern Jersey and drive all the way up to you if you have an issue, heaven forbid. And so I can get the capacity very quickly. Again, it's just a matter of, I guess, taking that leap. I already made the leap to start the business, and figure that part out. I'm still learning, of course. But yeah, it's just taking the leap of finding someone, and whether I completely trust or not, just hoping for the best and doing what I can to mitigate any issues as they come.
Yeah. Do you have experience training? Do you have a plan for training?
Yeah, I took a page out of your book, Andy. I know you love working on your SOPs.
I do.
So I've already started to develop some of my own.
Awesome.
I don't know when I'm finding somebody that I can hire, when I can get another truck. But I'm already, starting to, try to stay ahead of the ball, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and I know, Gabe, you have your new hires on the road with you for several months before you kind of cut them loose. I want to do the same thing. I know it's definitely a financial obligation to pay for them while they're just, following you around. But it's definitely something that I want to do so I can, just ease my mind a little bit, and hopefully they do it my way.
Yeah. What?
Hey, Dan, guess where I got that idea from?
Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, did you? I don't know. It's like, where did you hear that from? Oh my God. So one of the things that we did when we had, I had people, trainees and stuff that were just first coming on, because you have a long time, we do the same thing a long time where they're riding along with us. We want to really learn the ropes. When that trainee starts to get to the point where you're like, they can kind of do some of these regular services on their own, I would work from the truck and have them do the job while I'm on site.
Right.
So I get there and I'd be making a sales call, sending emails, doing all the like double duty here. I'm with him. I'm sort of shadowing. He'd come back with like, hey, I found this thing. What's this mean? I'd hop out. Okay, this is this. Here, you do this, do that, do this. Teach him the thing, and then go back to be like whatever. So you may be able to get some, mitigate some of that expense of just dead weight riding around in the truck to be, pretty quickly, somebody's going to learn how to check exterior stations and refill, things and whatever. And you can be like, okay, you do that. I got to make 5 sales calls while you're, in there. Let me know if you have a problem. So you can kind of mitigate some of that.
Yeah, I had my first taste of that last week. I brought on a buddy of mine. He has a power washing and a handyman company, and but he has a team that works with him. And I sold a very large bird exclusion job, and high ladders. I wasn't going to do it by myself for safety reasons. But he brought his guys. They did all the ladder work, and it was my first taste of, okay, yeah, you guys are doing good. I'm going to go in the truck. So that was a beautiful day.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So when I first started, it was basically just, here's your tank, here's the chemical, spray and pray. If we get more than 3 callbacks, the manager will address. And I think I maybe had a week and a half of textbook training, and then a week of shadowing somebody who's not teaching me the right things. So definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's
I literally remember my first commercial stops for a large commercial corporate center, and I'm with the technician. He's like, oh yeah, this is how we can scan the barcodes without scanning the barcodes. Can we stay warm on our trucks? I was like, wait, what? But
he's teaching you the real deal, like how you really do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So now listening to this, you had a post earlier today that was people asking you about starting their own business, and your advice is just go ahead and do it.
Yep.
How much is that advice for people reading that, and how much is that you encouraging yourself?
A good 50-50. Because
right.
Like I said a few minutes ago, I just have to get over that hurdle and hire somebody just because capacity reasons. But when I first started, I had the same concerns that I'm sure you guys both had, and everyone else that hasn't done it yet is, how am I going to put bread and food on the table for my family? How am I going to survive? And I think like I said in the post, we all got one life to live, and if you're not going to take those chances, are you really living your life?
Yeah.
So I tell everyone, no matter what your circumstances, just try. I had an accountant mention, hey, it's a good idea to start a business, but have 6 months savings. I didn't have any savings when I started this. I just had a hope and a prayer that it would work.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I'm with you, Dan. I borrowed some material from a friend that had a little business, and bought a rusty truck, and off I go. Not a penny. Not a penny.
Yep. Yep. I leased this truck without any down payment. And yeah, I had some materials on hand, some equipment on hand from doing my own pest control at my house, and just worked with that as long as I could. And then as I sold more and more jobs, as I needed more and more things, I just bought things as I could afford them, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
Have you envisioned what the recruiting and interviewing process is going to be like for Dan Can Home Services?
yes, actually. So I do a lot of marketing, a lot of networking. I want someone to be personable, someone who's not afraid to make eye contact and, go up and, actually ring that doorbell and talk with the customer. So like, I actually want people to join me at my networking events. I want to see, how comfortable they are in a group of people, how comfortable they are in starting conversations, small talk. Cause I feel like, the physical work of it is one thing, but if you don't have that personality that the customers are going to relate to and, appreciate, I don't think that's the full package that I'm looking for, essentially. I feel like the skills can be taught, but the personality just kind of has to come a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you keep coming back to that you're worried about?
I keep coming back to that I'm worried about?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess my biggest worry would be them, just, thinking that they're doing the right thing and finding out that they're not. But even that is really not a total worry because, I gained that customer to begin with. They have their trust in me and my company. I can always, put out that fire as it comes. So even that is just me being that's not even a word. That's just me being afraid of something new and, am I ready for it?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
sure.
feel like at the end of the day, any fire can be put out if you address it correctly.
Sure. Yeah, that was one of my biggest things too on that hurdle was like, oh my gosh, I'm sending somebody else that's not me out to this account, and they know me and I know how I do it. And I tried to like over prepare technicians to be like, yeah, no, this is what you do. And you knock on this door and you go here and, really worried that it was going to be just the same. And then I found out it's okay if it's not. And somebody's going to screw something up. And if you have those good relationships with those clients, they'll call you up and, and be like, hey, this wasn't quite right. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. I'll be right out there, or we'll fix this up and we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
So,
And a lot of times, like, I think you realize that some pest control, like, there's a way to do it, but a lot of it, there really are multiple ways to skin a cat. And as long as the end result's getting done, I mean, not that
are you licensed for cats?
we can skin cats.
We can skin. Boy,
multiple ways.
Portland's a little weird.
But and like I've found with a lot of times, a customer will call in. They're kind of used to how I do it. It's not even necessarily that the job was done wrong. It was just done in a way that was not what they were used to. And that a lot of times it's just me saying, oh, yeah, no, that's totally normal. That's going to work just fine. You'll be good. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Or sometimes there is an error and you need to fix it. But half the time it's just rebuilding that confidence in the next person that's going to come out. So.
Yeah. Now, I think I'm also excited, whether I hire somebody. I mean, I would definitely love someone to come on board that already has their licenses, at least for my first employee. And then maybe my second employee, third employee, whatever it is, training somebody fresh out the gate with no prior experience. But at the end of the day, I'm still relatively new to pest control compared to a lot of our colleagues across the country and the world. So, I'm not necessarily afraid of someone doing it, a different way, because their way might be better than mine. Who knows? So I actually kind of look forward to, potentially, piggybacking ideas back and forth with my employees and, learning together.
Yeah.
So,
have you flirted with anyone yet? Have you had any like run-ins?
just
with
my wife, Andy.
Okay. She texted me to ask that once. She's checking on you. No, no. Like,
Have you had any more dreams, Andy?
Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't tell Gabe this. Did I tell you about? So I woke up the other
Can we
day and
talk about this on the podcast?
yes, we could. No, this is okay. This is okay. So your kids are still doing Legos in the room, aren't they? Can they hear this? No. So the other day, and this is why Dan's on here today. Literally, like I just out of the blue, I had this dream that Dan and I was doing a ride along, and we're in New Jersey, and we had to go to this like amusement park, and there was like a wasp nest in one of the cars of the ride, and so we're going there and we're talking about how are we going to get after this, and we treat this thing and whatever. I wake up, I'm like, why the hell did I have a dream about Dan Latini and I'm treating wasp nests in a amusement park? What the heck's wrong with me? So then I texted him and I'm like, hey, you want to come on the podcast? He's like, sure.
Yeah. And reading that, I was cracking up ferociously in my truck reading that. I was like, oh man, Andy, this just made my day. Thank you. Does Holly know?
Yeah.
Dan, I don't know if you've heard this before, but Andy will have dreams and like solve entire problem sets in his head and then wake up and like have the answer to whatever the solution, the issue is. Like who knows?
Yeah, I keep a little notepad right by the bed because it's like 3:00 in the morning, like almost every morning. I wake up and I'm like, I'm working on a project as I'm dreaming, like I'm thinking through something. I'll wake up and be like, yep, that's solution. I'll write it all down, go back to bed. And yeah, it's a sickness, I think.
No, I've definitely heard of a lot of people doing that, or even just having like a journal bedside just in case you're dreaming up something cool. You want to write it down so you don't forget it the next morning. So it's a good idea. Solid. Yeah. Mine's always at work.
For sure. But anyway, back to it. Have you interviewed anybody? Have you like played around with that yet, or you're not to that point?
Yeah, I have some people from other local companies, or even people that I've worked with in the past that have reached out to me. Going back a little bit away, and they just necessarily weren't ready to take the jump. Me as a sole operator, I don't necessarily have the benefits that I can offer, like what their current companies are working with. So, there's been a couple people, family people that, need that 401k with the 5-6% match, and they need the high-end life insurance. And I get it. I'm just not there yet. But I have been talking with some people who deal with benefits for companies and employees. So I'm figuring out the logistics and all that also, because I want to make sure that, I'm providing everything that I would want from an employer. And that's, good benefits that everyone's, really needing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny because this reminds me more of our journey here. Like, we did some unorthodox things as we went through. We had that part-time person for 2 seasons. Then we had a full-time person we brought on. And then we kind of grew again, and we had 2 other part-timers that came on that were both retired. One was my father for 1 season. One was a friend that had worked at a former pest control company with me, but was semi-retired. They didn't need health insurance or anything like that, and we used them for a season or 2 seasons. So each season was like crafting sort of your roster, like a baseball team or a basketball team or something, what you're going to go into the season with, and they're all free agents at the end of the year, and you figure it out and whatever until we could sort of build up enough, density of routes and work to get the full-time people that are going to require the health insurance and the 401k or, whatever. And we didn't offer that probably for the first 5-6 years of the company. We didn't have any benefit, like Holly and I either, like no anything. It's like, good luck. But, sort of leveraging some of those like retired people that are still active could be a good way to have, sort of some of that part-time labor without needing, Actually,
like
anyone who's married to a retired teacher, find them. They have great benefits. It covers the whole, in New York anyway. It covers the whole family. They don't need anything. They're just like, sure, let me help you out. So that's a good way to try to bridge that.
Yeah. And you're probably going to have an increasing number of kind of the boomer generation that has been running like owner operator pest control companies that maybe they sell or they get out or they retire, and maybe they want to work a couple days a week. I'm sure I would not be surprised at all if you could find somebody like that.
It's a good idea to look at. Yeah, I feel like going into spring and summer, even if I could find someone a few days a week just to do simple mosquito and tick services, that would take a huge weight off my shoulders.
Yeah. For us, it was we had monthly spider services for lakefront homes. Every month we would go through and treat for spiders, and those were the ones we would offload first to part-time staff, because it was, I mean, they're like 20-minute jobs. You treat the outside of the house, treat the decks, brush down spider webs, for these lakeside homes. And it was great because I think our average age of employee for our first 3 years was probably 60. Like we like guys that were, pretty much retired and still wanted to do something. And you're right, some of those older generation was like fine with just working. They're just like, yeah, let's go, and there's no long-term commitment there. They're not looking for a career, but it could be a good good resource just to bridge that.
Nice.
Dan, are you generally working like 4 days, 5 or 5 or 6 days a week? What are you doing usually?
I have to schedule my days off. Right. I wish I could say I'm only working 4 or 5 days, but I'm definitely working 6 or 7 days.
Okay.
And when I'm not working the field, I'm working at home.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not letting things get in the way of the family. I mean, that was the whole reason I started this business, was so I could be around for them more. So while I'm working more than ever, I'm also doing more family stuff, which is an interesting balance, but I love it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't had a full day off.
Truck usage is so my brother-in-law runs a pressure washing company, soft wash, pressure wash, roof clean stuff. And one of the things he's doing, he has just one truck right now, and then like a trailer skid that he pulls with another vehicle. So he's kind of got like 2 units. And he has one truck that was running 5 days a week, but he's going to switch it down to running 4 days a week with one tech, and then the other 3 days a week with a separate tech. So it's just going to be running full-time 7 days a week nonstop. Might be something, I don't know what your truck capacity is right now, but if you could squeeze your stuff into 4 or 5 days, and then you have somebody, you may not even have to get a separate truck, is what I mean.
Okay. See what you're saying.
You say, hey, I'm going to run it Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, and I want you to run it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah. I think right now my biggest hurdle with keeping up with everything is actually new customers, because I will schedule my week out. I'll talk with all my customers, be like, okay, I'm going to be here on this time. Cool. And then a new customer will call me, which is a fantastic thing to happen. But then I'm like, all right, where am I going to fit you in? I need a couple hours to do what I know I need to do at your place. Now I have to readjust not just that day and that time frame, but maybe a day or two. So then I'm backtrack with my customers, like, hey, would you mind? And thankfully, all my customers are really cool and they know that I'm growing. But I know eventually that's going to bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
So.
How long did it take you to get to from zero to you had a sustainable amount of revenue coming in regularly?
I would say, so I am very, very fortunate and very grateful to my local chambers of commerce. When I started with them, I was with the previous company, big corporate, and everybody knew me already. So once I made the jump, everyone was like, hey, we've been waiting for this. We knew it was coming. Yay, now you're blue collar. Let's work together. So I was very quickly able to get a large amount of customers. So even, going into April through June, I would say I was comfortable. I took my family on our first cruise in October, and that was all paid for just with my first busy season. And then I was still affording the radio and the marketing ads that I was doing. So I was very, very fortunate. Probably incredibly lucky also.
So how long do you think it would be if you, let's say Magic Wand, February 1st, you have a new guy start with you. You bought a truck, you got the payments for that. You got the guy's payroll, he's making whatever he's making. How long until you would put on enough work that would be sustainable? Like, would it be 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, I would say, especially, again, going into the new busy season, I already have I don't know the exact number, but I have quite a few people already lined up for new services coming up. But also, like, I definitely have a good solid route that I could give somebody, and then I could just be back up on that route, do sales, do the new startups, whatever it is. But then I could also allow more time to doing what I used to do and going business to business, door to door, and marketing and selling myself. And in just from selling big corporate, I was always able to get several customers, a week. If I'm selling myself, which I feel like people are more inapt to work with a smaller business, I feel like I could very easily sell more. It's just I don't have the time to go out and sell, and that's where social media does all the hard work for me.
Right. So then that brings up like, okay, would it make sense to go all in on a person if you can find somebody with experience, get them in the service vehicle as quick as you can, get you out to be doing sales, and then all the new startups for whatever. And basically it's like year one all over again for you. The new guy is taking, all the work you built last year, and now you're starting with zero this year. Same sort of scenario. It's kind of what you're saying, Gabe, before, right? You're like, just hire the guy, push all the work off to him, and then load yourself back up again.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. It's not a way I was looking at it. So I'm happy we're talking about this now. But yeah, that does make the most sense.
Yeah, because you're probably right. If you are able to concentrate on new sales, new business development, you probably can onboard more clients faster than when you're doing it just once in a while in between jobs.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, I honestly can't tell you guys the last time that I actually just walked into a business like, "Hi, I'm Dan. Want to work with me?" I haven't had a need to do that because everyone's just coming to me, which again, I'm very lucky and very blessed.
Yeah.
Does it? I just when I look at my experience, and we have somewhat of a similar, I think, like your primary skill set, Dan, is not technical, right?
I wouldn't say so. No. Definitely know what I'm doing, but my primary skill set is communicating with people and just building relationships.
Customer service, relationship building, sales, management, training. That was similar with me. Like when I came into Pest Patrol, I had been managing 60 team members. Like my primary skill set was in business operations and management, not necessarily the technical side. So for me, I was like, I'm going to be the one that kills the company. I need to get out of the field. Like customers love me. I have good customer service. I'm obviously being honest and working hard, but like I'm going to be the limiting factor here. And it feels like your primary skill set is going to be in that sales, marketing, networking. And I would say free yourself up as much as possible, because that's where you're going to be getting the biggest bang for your dollars or for your time. I mean, you as a technician will probably slow yourself down.
Yep. No, I definitely see that, because at the end of the day, me running the route, I could pay somebody $20, $30 an hour on the high end to do this stuff while I can easily go out and run the business or manage the business. So yeah, you're right. I'm just
freaky. Do it like where you're at that's the scariest. Some of the scariest jumps are the first and second hires, where you're just like when you look at the numbers and you're like, it doesn't add up, right? But I think that what you don't see often is the opportunity cost of you being able to utilize your gifting. Like you're not the last 6 months, I bet you haven't done any like outside sales stuff.
Nope,
you're just
not at all.
Sales, right?
Yep. Yeah, except for marketing, or I'm sorry, networking events, because I never miss them. Me and my chambers of commerce, it is a very rare occurrence where I don't leave a networking event with at least 1 or 2 new customers, which is very awesome. So I sponsor those frequently. I go to every single event that I can, and I build my routes around those networking calendars. So even the next couple weeks, I'm sponsoring a couple different events with my local chambers and doing a mall expo right before Valentine's Day. So, I'm getting a lot more bang for my buck than I ever could have with the radio.
So then is this a scenario where you have Dan Latini, sales guy, is a Ferrari, but Dan as the technical guy is only operating as like a Kia? You're like, you could go at such higher velocity if you just were like out of the truck and shaking hands and selling stuff. So right, your opportunity costs are huge. Like your rate of growth could be that much better getting somebody in that place. So you're costing yourself money by not having that technician. Like, ultimately.
Yeah. 100%. And Gabe, I don't know if you do this, but when I was primarily just a salesperson, I would use my social media as a prover, like, because building trust with the new customer is always the hardest thing to do. So I'm like, hey, I know we just met. Here's my card. Would love to talk, but check me out on socials to see what I'm all about. I'm not like the rest, basically. And once people check me out on socials, like, wow, this guy's genuine. He loves what he does. Let's talk. And I still kind of do that. I just don't have the time to go to all those places and meet new people. So yeah, you guys are right.
How many times, Dan, I have to ask you this as an aside, how many times have you been compared to a Ferrari? Is this a common thing for you? Do people see you and go, Dan Latini, Ferrari, right there?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a first for me, Andy. I appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking like a Bugatti. Let's go.
There you go.
Ferrari. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know cars.
It's funny because I was just talking with my wife the other day about how because I see some really cool different vehicles that some of our other people use across the country. I forget what company it was, but somebody has a Cybertruck as one of their sales vehicles, and I thought that was pretty badass. But I was thinking, I was like, no one's tapped into like the VW Bugs, like the buses. Like that would be a badass. Tech vehicle, sales vehicle, whatever. You can still section it off so you have all your chemicals in the back locked up. Like that'd be pretty sweet.
Oh my god!
Yeah, Truly Nolan does the. They do the VW.
The
mouse cars. But bands, those are cool.
Yeah. Oh my god! So for some reason, Dan driving around in a Volkswagen bus just strikes me as the most New Jersey thing I've ever heard. I don't know why.
Are you living in a van down by the river?
Yeah. Oh
I mean, to get away from the kids some days, why not?
He's going to have a little cot in there. It's just the whole thing. My God. Yep. Oh, my God. So you said something with spending time with the family, and sometimes people will hear or even like to lean into this, like, I work 7 days a week, which we all do, and we all love that grind. We're all like proud of that. But one of the things I've noticed, and maybe it sounded like you might be noticing this too, is that even with that grind, it's like asymmetric effort when you're the owner, where you might have a Thursday afternoon that you can pick the kids up from school and do something, or Tuesday morning that you take them out to breakfast, or like there's these moments that you get to have while you're working 7 days a week, but it's so asymmetric. It's not the 9 to 5 where you go in and you're just going to sit there and you have to be there till 5 and then you go home and whatever. In some ways, that's even if you do have the quote unquote weekends off and nights or whatever, I think as in business ownership, that flexibility to kind of arrange your schedule and have these interesting times. Like, oh, the kid has a field trip and I'm going to be able to be there for it. Like, I think have you found that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of have to have that flexibility, just because, kind of caregiver to my wife. She has her health issues. She can't work. So there's a lot of days where I have to be the one to take the kids to school. I have to be the one to pick them up from school. And then I'm doing stops in between and hoping that I get to parent pickup in time. I definitely always try to make time. And even if I have like incredibly busy weeks where, maybe I feel like I'm not spending enough time with them, that's when I say, all right, kids, who wants to come to work with me today? And just in the last week, my daughter's birthday was yesterday. She came to work with me. I brought my son to work with me on Saturday. And we even had a little field trip at a bug museum that was local. So even if I can't necessarily always do things at the house with them, go outside and play around, which of course we still do. But I'm still including them in what I do, which, is something that, I wish I had the opportunity to do when I was a kid. So it's nice to do that with them.
That's awesome. So our kids got this bug in their ear about going to work with dad, right? And so we end up bringing them to work a couple times. I'm like, oh wow, they're getting into this. This is cool. And they come and they'd hang out and this and that, whatever. And then I realized that at our reception desk we have like a bowl of candy. And Molly at the front desk goes, every time your kids are here, I have to refill this entire bowl of candy. They were taking the entire bowl of candy. I was like, oh my God, that's why they wanted to go to the office with me.
Yep.
kids.
Yesterday, having my daughter out, I stopped at one of my residential clients, and I want to say she is Ukrainian, Russian, very very nice couple. But she gave my daughter a giant, like 1 pound or 1 gallon Ziploc bag full of these like Russian candies that I couldn't read what the heck they were. Never seen them before, but man, she was in her glory, and I was like, man, I never get tips. I want some candy.
Come on. Yeah, for sure, man. Oh my gosh.
Andy, do you have to bring it back to like sort of current pain points that you were experiencing, Dan, for like truck stuff? I'm curious, any tips on when you're at that new stage? Like, how do we have any leverage with dealers or financiers?
No,
or
not at all. Used trucks.
That's what I've
cheapest used trucks you can get. Yeah, I didn't find any way. Like we did some auction trucks. We did Craigslist and whatever. Put the feelers out for everywhere we could. We'd have our first handful of trucks. Like we get 2 seasons out of them, maybe 3. And maintenance issues and whatever. We were always buying the cheapest ones we could get, whatever we had cash for. I don't think it wasn't until we got maybe 6 years in till we ever took a vehicle loan, right? Like I was like lending phobic for the longest time. Like I wouldn't take a loan for anything. I wouldn't sign a lease. I wouldn't do like if I had cash, I would buy it. If I didn't have cash, we wouldn't have it. So, and that's just me, right? Like I don't advise that necessarily. But yeah, I didn't have any sort of, leverage. Even now, I think we got like 10 and we still don't get like a, fleet discount or something. The only thing we found lately is I started just, instead of shopping, like shopping around, I would send an email to the commercial sales people at different dealers. And I would say, here's the specs I want this truck and I want to pay this amount out the door. And I'm sending it to, say, 5 dealerships. And whoever can do that, that's where I'm going. And so we've bought the last couple trucks from a couple different dealers, kind of round robin, whoever could, source them, because that's been a problem. Getting your hands on a truck the last couple of years has been problematic. But we would look at, like, what's the cost of a Tacoma, on their website and whatever. And here's what we'll pay. We don't want to pay any more than that. And I don't care what it comes with or doesn't come with. It doesn't really matter to me, because they'll try to give you that sell of like, well, this has this extra feature and this thing. But that's how we've got our last few.
I'm happy that you said that, because that has been one of my holdups is, I have a lot of friends that have different, service-based industries, and they swear by, oh, just go get a $3,000-$4,000 truck. If it lasts a season or 2, you've made your money back, and you got your use out of it. And then I look at the trucks, I'm like, it doesn't look all that professional.
So yeah, yes, no, you bring up a great thing that I got derailed right at the start. We switched to an evergreen fleet management now. So all of our trucks are new trucks. So what we found was that we were buying trucks cash, right? We'd pay like $4,000 or something. And then that truck costs you however much it costs you in repairs and maintenance and operations. When we went to an evergreen management system, what we do is we buy them brand new with 0 miles. We drive them till they have 100,000 miles. And then we trade them in for a new vehicle. And when you factor in it, and you got to be able to make this happen, right? You got to pay for the loan, whatever it is, $600-$800 a month for the loan. You pay the fuel. There's hardly any maintenance costs. There's much less downtime. And then that thing has, when you trade it in at 100,000 miles, it's kind of at that prime curve before it starts to fall in value, really. Not that they don't fall. I mean, they all depreciate as soon as you buy them. But like you're at that sweet spot where a dealer is going to give you a good amount of return on that trade-in if you're at like 99,000 miles versus running it into the ground, and then roll that into the next vehicle. What we found is when you actualize this across the cost of ownership of a vehicle, we paid less for the brand new truck than we did for the $5,000 truck. The $5,000 truck with it, and then the catalytic converter, and then the brakes, and then and then the downtime. It was out for 2 weeks, and we needed to have an additional spare truck because they were so unreliable. Because you're always jumping into a different truck every day because this one's broke or whatever. The cost of ownership was less with the brand new trucks than it was with the old ones. So once we were able to get rid of all of our old trucks and cycle into new trucks, that's what we've been on since then. And that for us, that's been the best way. But you gotta, you got to get a loan and make payments on a truck and carry the collision and all that stuff. But it does work out. My accountant told me that our first year, and I was like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not getting a loan, and I got $5,000, so I'm just buying a truck. So screw you, I'm doing it this way.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, and Gabe, you've done some like fleet management stuff. Does that hold water? Do you think that's solid or? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same. The two vehicles, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well, Dan. The two vehicles that I've gotten used, I replaced in the same year the transmission on both of them.
Oh no.
The three other vehicles that I've bought new now have had basically zero maintenance needs, zero downtime. They're way more enjoyable to drive, way safer. It's like, yeah. So we just got a new vehicle this month. And it was actually the first time that I've walked into a dealer and told them, I said, it's the first vehicle I haven't co-signed on. And because I told him, I said, hey, I'm potentially wanting to move this year. I don't want this to hit my credit. I need you to separate them out. And they're like, well, we can't separate them out. I'm like, well, I'm going to find somebody who can. And so they
all of a sudden
did it, which was great. So you may be, I've found that I had very little leverage, but you may be able to find a dealer who will go to bat for you, and give you a loan on something. You will almost certainly have to co-sign it, but you're going to have to do it with anything right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm definitely feeling like I want to go the newer vehicle route just because it comes with that powertrain warranty, the 100,000 miles, whatever it is. So that way I have the peace of mind knowing like, okay, there's a dealership vehicle. I can take it right back to the dealership because I got this from a used lot. And every time it breaks, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be out for a month. What am I going to do? Now I got to get a rental. Hope I don't get pulled over by DEP in my personal vehicle.
We'll edit that out.
yeah, please.
Oh no.
It's a lot being a business owner, but man, it is so much fun to figure everything out. There's a company in the Midwest, I forget the name of them, Orange something. But there's a very large pest control company, and I watched a YouTube video of them, and they were talking about the importance of their trucks looking flashy. So they got the lifted kits and the rims, and the truck looks chef's kiss. But I'm like, man, that is an expensive looking truck. Like, whew, you gotta be really successful to afford a fleet of those. I don't think I want to get that big, but dang, I just want to make sure that people are looking at my truck and be like, okay, that looks like a professional operation. Not like, oh, wow, that truck looks like it's going to fall apart on my yard.
Yeah. You don't want them asking you to park in the street because they think it's going to leak oil in their driveway.
Exactly.
That's not great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, and the whole thing goes into the brand image, that you want to encourage there. So yeah, I'm all for the new trucks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And those new Tacomas do look very sweet. So Gabe, I love your fleet.
Well, I have all Chevys, but Andy's got the nice.
I got the Tacoma.
I got the Tacomas. I just know they're all wrapped with the black and everything. They look like. Anyway, they're nice.
Thanks.
What are you driving right now?
I am in a 15 Nissan Frontier.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
Okay.
And when I got it, it was originally owned by big corporate, and I assumed that it was fleet maintained and it was babied and it was GPS monitored so they didn't speed. And obviously someone turned off the GPS monitor because the engine blew twice, and now the transmission's making some noises. I'm like,
Oh my God. So we got one of our trucks early on from New Jersey. We drove down to New Jersey to get it, and it was a Ecolabs truck. Formerly, and yeah, it was a piece of work, man. That one was really something. It was sight unseen. We went down there, it was like some auction thing, had a cap and stuff, and it came with a power sprayer in the back with no pump, just a tank, and it had like, I don't know, 10 gallons of something in there. I have no idea what it was. We went round and round trying to figure out how to get rid of that material, but yeah, they just left it in there. It was quite an ordeal.
Yep. When I got this truck, the back of it was full of unused throw packs, which I don't know why the dealer didn't clean it up or whatever. Because as soon as I opened up the back hatch, I was like, "Wow, there's like 20 throw packs in here. What's going on here?"
Oh my gosh! Does anyone still use those? Does anyone?
I see them quite frequently, and honestly, it drives me crazy when I see them. And I've made a whole bunch of videos about why they drive me crazy, but I see them quite frequently out here.
Wow. Are they
And
from professional or from homeowners and stuff?
professional.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh Lord.
yeah.
Okay.
From big guys, little guys, and everyone in between. I see them too frequently, unfortunately. And
All I,
there's been times that I open up like a little shed or like a little
yeah.
crawl space door, or maybe the crawl space is maybe 20, 30 square feet, and then I'll see 15 throw packs all around. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh. We had years ago we had an account we took over in downtown Syracuse, and when we took it over they had like this little crawl space. I might have told Gabe this story before, and there was big rodent problem, and in this back little crawl space you got to like army crawl back in there. There had to be 100 place packs of old bait, old rodenticide like you could do like archaeological history of pest control from this by the age of all these. There was like ancient ones to like brand new ones, but there are tons. And so I'm back there and I'm pulling them out, putting them in a bucket, and there were some that were like way back, and I'm like, oh, am I gonna go all the way back there and get those? And I'm like, well, if something happened, like, how could I say like it wasn't me, right? Like, no, it's not. I'm like, I got to get every one of these. So I go out there, I get every one of them. I get a call the next morning from that client, and this office building. They call up and they're like, hey, we had a major problem in the basement yesterday. I was like, what? I took all the stuff out. I put in new fresh equipment and whatever. He goes, no. We had a water main break. The basement flooded, and every agency in the city is there in their basement, and there's like floating everything except for place packs. There were no place packs floating in the water. And I thought to myself, thank God that I did that little extra bit to get all those. 'Cause I'm thinking you'd have everybody there and there'd be 200, bags of rodenticide floating in the city water. Like, oh my God, it's crazy.
I recently took over 2 restaurants that were being serviced by another company, and each restaurant had an overabundance of exterior stations. I want to say each one had like 6 to 8 stations, which was crazy for the environment that they were in. But each station had like 15 contract soft packs in it, and I was like, wow, like there's no feeding or nibbling on any of it. Thankfully, they're all my sheets, and I use them on occasion. So I essentially got free materials from the previous company, so that was sweet. But I ended up walking away from the 2 locations with like 80 plus soft packs. And I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, but apparently it was a company that was like an hour away, and I guess they just decided to overbait to, help control it longer.
Right. So, we'll just stockpile the bait station, and then you don't have to check it for months. My gosh. Oh my God. So, if you get a guy, where in the world are you guys how are you gonna report to work in the morning? Have you thought through some of that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you can. So, like when I worked for my first company, we would go to the shop, say like once a week, get our supplies for the week, and then, if you on the off chance that you needed something, a manager would come out, or you would just plan to go back to the shop. So like here at my house, I have a shed where I have all my supplies at, all my excess, but typically speaking, I have everything I need in the back of my truck. So I think I'm just going to be, really on top of inventory management at that point. And then just, how I work right now is all my stops are within an hour of my house. So no matter what, I can always get out to somebody, at a moment's notice if I ever needed to.
Yeah. So they'll basically be sort of a remote technician. You'll meet up and transfer supplies back and forth and that kind of thing. Yeah.
So I'm also not necessarily opposed to getting a corporate card, essentially be like, hey, this is for Home Depot, Lowe's, if you ever need to get more supplies here and there, except for pesticides, of course. But at least can kind of manage it that way a little bit. That's again what I did at the first company, so kind of like how it worked. And I'm sure Gabe would probably do the same thing, because I know you have those like 1 or 2 sheds at your house now, but they're full of the insulation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so do you meet up with your guys, Gabe, or do you have them come to you for supplies and stuff?
They come here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're always in fact, Sam just dropped in. That's who I was talking to while we were on this. So yeah,
he was playing with Legos too. Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll see almost the whole team, 2 or 3 times a week.
Now, has that presented any problems? Do you wish it was more? Do you wish it was less?
I would love, long term, my vision is to have an office space and to have consistent, either morning, just real quick morning huddles, or at least more regular weekly meetings. So I wish it was more, and I wish it was everybody together, and I wish it was at a consistent place. But yeah, we don't have that right now. So our meetings are all virtual outside of when they just swing by.
Yeah, we got our first office and technician pretty much at the same time, like really early on. Holly was not pleased with my decision making to get an office and a technician because it was like, I don't know, $500 a month. It was like a tiny little office, maybe $450 or $500, just to have a spot. Like, this is the office. And so technicians would report there. We had a little closet. I have some pictures. You should see like the minimal amount of equipment we had and materials. But we went right to having a space. I didn't want them to have to come to my house and the kids and all the things and whatever. So we went straight to the office setup and haven't looked back from that. We've really liked that, having a sort of a point of focus. This is where you come, you check in the morning, we have a little powwow, and that's sort of continued on as we've gone. Dan, the sun is just perfect lighting on you.
Yes,
like
it is.
You have like
It came out of nowhere.
I know, it's just like all of a sudden the rays of sun just hits Dan, and it's like, oh my gosh, look, it's like cinematic lighting over here. oh gosh.
Man.
So
Yeah, I know. I know. Last time we talked, we were talking about how I've jumped right into like the family business being like the core values, and Andy, you've mentioned how you kind of wish that you could do that, but with the commercial clientele that you have, they don't necessarily care about family business. They just want everything done right and professional and everything. And Gabe, you're definitely all about family, but you kind of talked about how you're kind of like a mix. I mean, definitely to save money on a commercial space, because they are crazy, especially in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I think I would definitely like to have my house kind of be the home base, because, I would love to find somebody with good family values that match mine also. And, I always err on the side of caution of becoming friends with employees, but I would love to be like, all right, cool, you're at the house. Let's talk. Let's catch up on the week. Share a cigar. And, just, kind of have that family value at the core of the business, essentially. Whether or not that will hold true for the long run, who knows? But wishful thinking.
Wow, I didn't even consider that the difference in the real estate market in New Jersey versus, say, Syracuse, New York. You're probably not going to find an office for $400 or $500 a month.
No, you can't even find a closet for $400 or $500 a month down here.
Yeah, and that's the same. Portland's probably closer to Jersey. I mean, when I'm looking at 1,000 square foot office, it's $3,500 here.
Oh my God.
Yep, yeah. It's the same down here. Yep.
Oh my goodness gracious. That's crazy. So yeah, isn't the Pacific Northwest, aren't you like one of the most expensive, like costs of living and stuff like that? Seattle and Washington.
Pretty spendy, yeah.
Oh my goodness. No thanks. All you got to do, maybe. No, all you guys got to do is live where no human wants to live, like Syracuse, New York, and it's freezing cold. It's literally a snowstorm outside right now. We don't even think anything of it, and it's cheap.
So I've been told by a couple people, specifically my trainers through DEP and through Rutgers in New Jersey, and they always joke like, yeah, if you want to be rich in pest control, move to Florida. So you being in a more colder climate, Andy, do you find that it makes your job harder, or do you feel like you have a longer slow season potentially?
Yeah, so if you're on the residential side, it's definitely harder. So we don't have termites here. We have a hard season. Like last couple have been warmer, but like once winter comes, man, residential work, it dries up. I mean, you're not doing anything. There's some one-man operations up here where they'll work, say, May through September, and then they go to Florida for the winter. Like they shut down. Like, and that was part of our thing of moving into commercial, is that it's 12 months out of the year. So we don't really have much of an off season anymore because of those strategic decisions. And the winter had a lot to do with that. Like I couldn't have, a bunch of technicians just sitting around for months. like shoveling snow. What are we going to do? Make snowmen? I mean, like, what are you going to do all winter long? But yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of people that hire and lay off, hire in the spring, lay off in the fall, and they'll have like a skeleton crew that works through the winter on, whatever commercial work that they have, and then they'll hire again for the summer spray season. That's kind of pretty common in our area. So I've said, like, when I look at the NPMA's like operating ratios and surveys and things like that, when you look regionally, I think that like our little area of the Northeast, we're probably 30% smaller as an industry in our specific little area because of some of these, weather factors and no termites and these kinds of things. That pest control is just more anemic where we are. So
Okay.
it has, but on the flip side, I think it's less competitive. So like if you go to Florida, there's 1,000 pest control companies like everywhere. Like you just trip over them everywhere. Up here, not so much. So it's a little more wide open spaces for us up here.
Yeah. I read a stat probably a couple years ago, but it said there's more than 3,000 pest control companies or pest control operators in New Jersey alone, which is a crazy number. And I know just in my normal area, there's like 4 or 5 guys that I know of that are doing the same thing I'm doing. So they're my biggest competition, but we're also we're good friends at the end of the day, and we share ideas and help each other out. So that's a beautiful thing. I think it's one of my favorite things about our industry.
Yeah. Are you involved with the New Jersey Pest Management Association?
Yep. NJPMA. Yep.
Cool. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Have you been to any of the events yet or anything?
Yeah. So every year we have the they call it a clam bake. So it's where all the industry professionals from all around the country come out. Got to meet some really great people that I've only ever met on LinkedIn this last year. Most notably Greg Pettis from Nature Side. Got to meet him, so that was really cool to meet him and some other people for the first time. It was really good environment. Got some good credits and got to meet a whole bunch of people. Got to meet some vendors. I'm still trying to hone on what vendor I want to use, whether it be Target or Versized for all my pest control needs. But it was really cool. I look forward to the next one. I was trying to go to the NPMA Eastern Conference that was in the Poconos. Yeah. And it's only an hour drive for me. I really wanted to go. I was going to bring the family there to Kalahari for the indoor water park.
Yeah.
But when I looked up the ticket prices, Thursday and Friday, it would have been doable. But Saturday, the last day of the conference, it would have been $500 for the room. I was like, nope. Sorry, guys, we're not doing it.
Oh, no. Yeah, Holly wanted to bring the kids down for that, too, but we just couldn't work out the schedule. So did you guys have Harry Bryan from Nisus do his barbecue down there? Did you guys? Was that New Jersey Pest Management? Maybe it was Pennsylvania. Oh man, yeah, I saw something about that. I can't remember who it was. So, very cool, very cool. Oh my gosh. So this is a great primer for somebody if you are in that situation where one man operation and looking to hire your first person. Listen to this episode. We got it down. It's also interesting, things like this. I feel like for you, Dan, you'll look a year or two from now, go back and listen to this, and then you're going to go, "Oh my God, I said that. Why did I think that?" There's going to be things you're like, "I was so right on."
Yep. No, honestly, I watched our last podcast probably like a day or two ago, and I had made the handsy comment. I was like, "Man, why did I say that?" So it's funny. And then I made a flub on this one too. So I'm like, "Dang, next time I'll be better."
Next time you'll be perfect. No, I think it's great. I think it's great, man. Oh my gosh, you got anything else, Gabe?
No, it's been great catching up with you, Dan.
Absolutely, always a pleasure, gentlemen. I appreciate it. I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys have been role models to me in the industry, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, I'm ready for dinner. I think I'm heading home for that.
I'm ready for lunch.
You're having lunch, right, Gabe? Yeah.
Yes,
peanut butter and jelly. What do you guys do for lunch?
I don't know. I'm gonna go find out.
Does your wife make you lunch?
Up there. Yeah, usually.
Do you guys do like
work from home? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah. You don't do like a big lunch? Does she cook you stuff, or is it just like sandwiches or something?
It's usually like just leftovers. Yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Whatever from the last couple dinners or.
What's leftovers in the Seymour house? Is it like steak and a cigar? Is that what you?
Just a cigar. Just 2 cigars.
Just 2 cigars. You share one with the kids. Oh my god! And Dan, I'm sure I'm going to see you at one of these events here because we're close enough. I head down to the city for the New York Pest Management Association things once or twice a year, and we're going to have to meet up. Oh, you were saying you might come up to Niagara Falls or something?
I want to go to, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely stop by. Let me know whenever it is. It doesn't matter. You come here. You can come check the place out, and we'll hang out. We'll go out to lunch or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, honestly, it wasn't until I always thought you were closer to the city, knowing that you're from New York City. I mean, who would do pest control, up by Canada, basically.
6 hours away from
woods.
Yeah.
Once I realized that how close you were to Niagara Falls, I was like, yep, we're gonna do a pit stop if we go.
There you go. I love it. And Gabe, you and I will meet someday.
One of these days.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Yep.
You've been listening to Coast to Coast with Andy, can't pronounce his last name, and Gabe Seymour. Join me, Pete Chopin, probably in another 5 years from now when they invite me on again.